A couple hundred yards, maybe a little more. At 200 yards, a Confederate rifleman could aim at this group of men working the cannon, and if enough men aim at this group, they'll start knocking some out. At 100 yards, it would be accurate enough to pick out individuals. And by the time you're shooting down the crew around this cannon, I'll tell you what else you're targeting. The 6 horses standing right behind. That 6-horse team, all harnessed up, patiently behind you, is there to hitch up your gun and get it out of the way at the last minute. The men attacking that want to capture your cannons will shoot your horse team just as much as they'll shoot you.
How far was the range on the canisters? Because you said if they got within 200 yards, they would use canisters.
For this gun, about 200. It's because the rifling is no friend to canister. If you look in a bird hunter shotgun, there's no rifling inside that. That will spoil the pattern of the shot. This rifling tends to throw it off over a distance. The bronze cannons you'll see that turn green and blue out here, they're smooth inside. They'll throw canister more like 400 yards because they don't twist it. Yeah, but for these iron guns, 200 is probably pretty good.
Did the rifles in that year have rifling in it?
Yes. Yeah, this new bullet, this French design called the mini ball, had allowed rifling to go into soldiers' muskets, triple the distance they shoot. So, when I tell you that 3,500 Confederate soldiers were the first wave coming in, shoulder to shoulder, 2 ranks deep, and each could probably fire 2 of these a minute with their muzzle-loading rifle, the combined power of that line would be about 7,000 bullets a minute. And these 1-ounce bullets would rain down on you like a hailstorm. And by the way, a bullet like that would knock a man flat on his back. The sheer momentum of being hit would just throw you on your back. If that bullet hit a bone in the arm or leg, it would mushroom. It would get as big as a nickel because it's pure soft lead. And it would shatter that bone so thoroughly that a surgeon digging at it could drag out 3-inch splinters of bone. It destroys limbs, and the only way to save lives is to amputate those shattered limbs. That's 3 out of 4 surgeries after a battle. So, when you picture standing here in a hailstorm of these while you're trying to work your cannon, not a pretty picture.
So what did each of the cannon crew do?
What did they all do? 2 of them, number 6 and 7 on the list, stayed back at the ammo chest. Oh, probably back at the other side of where Reynolds is on his horse. They would open the lid on a 500-pound chest of cannon shells and powder bags and pull out 1 powder bag and shell. They'd stick a fuse in it, intended to burn the right length of time, and hand it over to a runner, number 5, who would run it up to the gun. Would it seem kind of safe and cushy to be back there instead of up here?
Yep.
Would you want to be the one to open the lid on that huge chest when a shell goes off overhead? Something hot goes into that chest and 500 pounds of ammo go up at once, and you're not seen or heard from again. The runner brings it up here. A man standing here will take it, put the powder bag and the shell in here. The man here, number 1 on the crew, rams it down with the rammer. The Army drill, which was like a choreographed dance, has you stepping in and bringing your arm back here, turning your head to the front as you ram it down. So, the manual says, that you don't have fatal results if it goes off while you're loading it. All you do is lose your right arm about up to the elbow. You see, you are loading a hot cannon. You have sponged it first. Well, the other end of your rammer is a sponge, but you've done your best to sponge it to the back at 2 twists like this. But there are times where you didn't sponge it well enough, it goes off. So then number 2 and number 1 step aside. Let me work my way back through here. Number 3 has a priming wire. He stands here. When the gun is carefully aimed and ready to go, he'll punch a hole in the powder bag so it's ready to fire. Isn't that interesting? That's not plugged up at all. I think we could fire this gun today if we wanted to. That'd be fun.
The same for that sign down there.
Be my last day as a guide out here, but that was fun.
Me too.
Off the bank.
This is a perfect copy of the gunner's sight for this particular rifled cannon. It's a pendulum sight. It's designed to hang here and self-level to make up for any irregularity in how the gun is sitting. You can adjust elevation here. For range, you can have the gun carriage moved a little left and right until you're satisfied that it's perfect. The gunner is going to step completely out of the way because he needs to watch his shell fly to the target. He doesn't want to be blinded by his own smoke. And the last man of all the people we've talked about is number 4. He has a lanyard. He has friction primers. This is a practice primer, but the real primers are hollow and full of gunpowder. It's a tube. It's got friction-sensitive chemicals in the top. It goes right there. Now, a little space here. Number 4 will eyeball the whole crew, make sure everybody's safely to the sides, and then he'll pull this lanyard sharply. It's best to use both hands. It's a pretty hard pull. And you rip that wire out of the primer and strike it like a match. It shoots fire down into a pound of gunpowder and ignites that. The primer shoots up about 20 feet in the air and you never see it again. I've never seen one again. It just, it's gone. The fire rushes up and lights a fuse in the front of that cannon shell, and it takes off at about 800 miles an hour. And between here and the silo, I'm guessing time of flight, 3.5 seconds. And it would explode in front of it if you've done everything right. Yeah.
Is this here to adjust the height or something?
Yeah, this is the elevating screw. It will adjust from flat to probably 7 or 8 degrees up for a really long shot. Yeah. So now everybody goes back 12 feet. 2 men on each side grab the spokes. The gunner steers the back of the gun carriage and you bring it right back in place, sponge it out. And by then, number 5 has come up with another powder bag and shell. And off you go again.
Great.
Yeah.
How fast could you load and then fire?
I'd say twice a minute is a fair goal. If you were absolutely desperate and you were about to be overrun and you skip the sponging step, and maybe you don't even reposition all the way, maybe 3 times.
So is the sponging a wet thing? Or
Yeah.
what are you cleaning out old powder? Or what are you doing?
You have a wool sponge on the end of your rammer and you have a bucket of water that rides under the gun carriage and you put it out here. So you're keeping that sponge damp and you're cooling the inside of the barrel and you're trying to make sure no remaining embers are back here from the prior shot. Because it can be really bad if there are. Yeah.
So you mentioned here they would have about 6 of them.
6 of them.
So they wouldn't fire all at once, right?
They could, but more likely they'd all be working independently.
Right.
They're 14 yards apart. But still, it would be deafening to have one on either side going off. So everything we do on a gun crew, you don't need spoken communications.
Right.
When the gunner's satisfied with the aim, he just puts his hands up to tell the whole crew that we're going to fire now, and then they jump in and do this part. Because you may not have a chance to talk to anybody out.